Hello there. It is Quinn with PTSD While Black. I decided to combine two very dangerous topics together today because I was talking to a friend and it came up in our conversation. Um, Narcissism and anti-blackness. One of the things that came up were two black women talking with each other, and it said, no one wants to be a black woman in America. And it was just like a really interesting because in American society, people of color, but specifically black people, have basically been the scapegoats of narcissistic or toxic abusive behavior in our country. And it was just like this really interesting conversation that the two of us were having, which was that no one wants to be us, but they do want to take our culture. But also, more importantly, no one wants to speak up for us because they know that black people are at the bottom of the totem pole of rights within this country. Hell, half of us don't want to be us. I was very much so like, I'm the whitest black girl you ever met, for sure, Buffy, wearing blonde wigs and stuff and denying my own experience as a black woman. Over that. So over that. Okay, anyway. So what was very interesting, we were talking about narcissism, and it's that in narcissistic families, what tends to happen is the narcissist will pull people towards them for support. And I think the term for that is flying monkeys, is what these people become because they do the bidding of the narcissist. And often a narcissist will pick and point out someone who is not making the narcissist feel significant or important or valued, or basically said, nah, I'm not going to go along with what you're doing. And that person's usually the scapegoat, where everything will be blamed upon them. And so in a family dynamic where this continues to happen, the scapegoat, or the black sheep of the family, everyone piles on them saying, yeah, why are you like this? Oh, you should get over it. Don't, it's not that big of a deal. Oh, you're such a baby, blah, 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 blah. Instead of relating to, well, what is your experience? What is happening for you? And to see both sides of both the narcissist point of view as well as that of the scapegoat. That would be the behavior of a logical person, but a lot of the flying monkeys, those who are doing the bidding of the narcissist, think that they're doing the right thing. They think that they've got the right answers or what have you. But in reality, I did it again. I was cleaning my my sage smudge stick and I touched the top of my head. Oh, well, I needed to cover my third eye for this, I guess. But the family has been so used to defending the narcissist because it makes them feel useful. It makes them feel good to defend the narcissist. And that's the same thing that happens in this country. Because she and I were talking, I'm like, yeah, I know this experience as a differently abled black woman who's overweight. And it's that not very many people want to relate to my experience. In fact, they want to push as far away from that experience so that they possibly don't get recognized as having that same reality. Because no, sis, that's your thing, not mine. I don't need anybody to think less of me. And that's something that happens. Got so many animal names for it. That's something that happens in the black community. There's this crabs in a bucket mentality where if is that the one I wanted? That's what's coming up. Crabs in a bucket mentality is where when one person tries to get out, everybody pulls that other person down. There's that behavior. But then there's also the I don't want to be recognized as one of them. I'm not like those black people. I'm one of the good ones. That kind of behavior. Because we know the pain of being black in America. We know the pain of non-whiteness, pretty much. And so we will separate from our own blackness to avoid the pain of non-whiteness. And it was just like such an interesting idea as we were talking, because we were acknowledging that no one wants to be aware or name the issues that happen to Black people, especially like separation between Black men and Black women, because Black men have a little bit more privilege just by being men in this country than women do. And so they're still holding on to that separation that's a closer proximity to privilege than what Black women have as an identity. And then if you go into LGBTQ identities, it's even further down the totem pole. And that's why I think it's so big in our community that I see the pushing and separation. Damn, it's 5 minutes in and I haven't even got to my point. But just recognizing that no one wants to agree with Black people out of fear of being the next Black population in America, the next non-white population that gets put down. And it's just so people will just pile on, even though they may feel that what they're doing is wrong. And this was very much so related to the gang stalking situation that I've gone through. In this case, an individual spread rumors and lies or what have you, and people chose to believe those rumors and to think that they're doing good things by choosing to take and follow the orders of the operative, I guess we'll call that, of the person initiating the gang stalking, because they know that if I don't follow this person's rules or orders, I might be the next one to be ganged upon, or I feel very important and special that I have been chosen to do such a task for this person. That's kind of how people who get swept into gang stalking are initiated, as well as how hope I can stick with it. I'm tired. It's how they're being initiated into things, and also being intimidated into doing things. Of if you don't do what I tell you to do, then something bad will happen to you. That there is something held over their heads. And so I just look at that as, oh, this is our society. This is where we live. This is America. How do you stop that? What's the opposite of it? There's a lot of ways to stop it. The first is for us as individuals to, and I love how, because this chick and I were talking, is what would Goddess want for me? What would the divine want for me in my life? Not what does my fear say I need to do, but what would the divine want for me? And for myself, I take that as the divine wants me to be autonomous, to be fully who I am. So it's my responsibility to love on me. It's my responsibility to uphold my boundaries. It's my responsibility to speak my truth. And so that's what I look at. What would the divine want for me? And it's also my responsibility to ask for justice in situations as well. And so I'm really looking at that going, oh, okay, interesting. And I think it's so funny. In my particular situation with the gang stalking, it started by the operative telling everyone that I was a narcissist that needed to be put in her place. And I will just say that the behavior of this individual, the behavior resembled narcissistic behavior. And I was placed as a scapegoat because it was believed that I would not do anything in return, because I'm very much so love and light in my approach with things. But in a lot of other ways, I'm kind of like, I'll let karma handle it. I'll let the divine handle my situation. And also I will take the actions that are needed to be taken here on earth. So it's just very interesting. It's like, oh, this is a scapegoat I'm dealing with. I can treat them this way. And that's possibly how Black women are viewed in America in general, especially those of us who are patient. Yeah. But I thought it was very interesting that we have this either or mentality. Either I do what the narcissist says, or I'm going to become the next victim. Or you can hear what the narcissist has to say, and you can see, does this line up with your reality? So in the case of America, I can hear what the history of white supremacy in this country has said, and does it line up with my reality of who I am and how the divine would have me be in this country and with my fellows? There's a way of being able to look at it. We can then be able to take actions to not just co-sign the behavior that has been abusive for centuries, but to also look at, what are my needs? Am I in alignment with myself and my truth? And am I just rebelling against it, or am I just saying, no, this is not for me? And can I be honest about who I am? And that's why I speak so much for those of us who are survivors of stalking, to own our own reality, to own our own truths. And dag nabbit, I started playing this again with music in the background. I'm so sorry, y'all. This was guardian angel meditation. Try listening for 15 minutes. Open your third eye. Again, another pineal gland activation. This just auto started playing after my regular stuff played. So, but be sure to give them some love. And yeah. And I'm sure this will get blocked for 1,001 reasons. Yeah. And just knowing that we have a reality of our own outside of what the narcissist tells us our reality is. That I know I'm a human being, I'm part of the human race, that I have worth, I have value, I have dignity, I am equal to others, and that I have skills and abilities that may be different from others, and other people will have skills and abilities different from mine, but it doesn't make them better than me, and I don't have to be any better than them. So I know that about myself. I know that as part of my truth. But if you are Latino, because, oh yeah, that's what we're talking about, is how so many different communities, non-Black communities, are able to stick together and support each other. Whereas within our community as Black Americans, there's this infighting and this fear of staying together. And people are more likely to speak up against, like, anti-Semitism. I think that was one of the things we were talking about too. People are more likely to speak up against anti-Semitism, but not as so much against anti-Blackness. Both are shitty. Both are horrible. And especially what happened to our Jewish friends during the Holocaust. It was absolutely horrible. But our society is more likely to speak up against anti-Semitism than anti-Blackness, because in this country, we've had 400 years of anti-Blackness versus, I think if we'd had 400 years or more of anti-Semitism in this country, it would be very different. But more Jewish people can pass for white in America and can avoid the judgment that comes with anti-Semitism. Wow, I can't say it now. So it was just like this very interesting discussion that we were having. Because I had a girlfriend on Facebook who would say, she's like, when things happen to the Jews, no one's standing up for us. And I'm like, I see that as very differently. I see a lot of people standing up for you. But I think it feels very isolating and left out either way when the pain is there. And it's okay to admit the pain is there and that it sucks and that none of us like it. And that we all have a responsibility to not hop on to the bandwagon of the bullshit of anybody being put down. Right? Right. Okay. So yeah, that was a thought. Yeah. Oh, and to sum up the question of, would I ever choose to have a relationship of any kind with the individuals who started the gang stalking in my life? The answer is no. No. I love myself enough to not do that. Um, I am not interested in having relationships with them. For Chance, for Ashley, for Amanda, no thank you. Um, yeah, that's just not, it's not worthwhile. These people chose to make my life hell. So I'm not available for that. And yeah, I get to move on in my life. And whatever that looks like for moving forward, that's what it looks like. Whether that looks like pursuing justice, but I think I will let justice pursue me. I think that's the easier way for me to go as somebody with a brain injury, is that I will let justice pursue me. All right. So that was like a full on conversation. Till next time, friends. Peace.